Hey, what's up, everybody? Tim Albrecht here, and welcome to this week's episode of the Ask a YFP CFP segment of the Your Financial Pharmacist Podcast, where we feature questions from you, the YFP community, to be answered by one of our very own fee-only certified financial planners. Please note this podcast is intended for educational purposes and should not be considered financial or investment advice, as we do not know all the variables to one's personal situation when answering a question. Before we jump into today's question, a shout out to our extraordinary YFP financial planning team that makes this segment possible. Your Financial Pharmacist offers fee-only comprehensive financial planning services that are customized to the pharmacy professional. So whether you want to pay off your student loans, make the right investment decisions, or simply build a solid financial plan, we'll help get your income working for you rather than the other way around. You can learn more by visiting yfpplanning.com. Again, that's yfpplanning.com. And today I welcome our lead financial planner, Robert Lopez, to the show to sub one for Tim Baker, who's on vacation. Before joining the YFP team, he helped healthcare professionals get a handle on their student loans while running his fee-only financial planning firm, FP Guidance, based in Phoenix, Arizona. Okay, this week's question comes from Kaitlin in Columbus, Ohio.
Hi guys, this is Kaitlin. I'm calling from Columbus, Ohio. Thanks for answering my question today. So I hear a lot as a pharmacist about the backdoor Roth IRA option, primarily because of the income limits with the Roth IRA. And I am pursuing the public student loan forgiveness program. And my strategy with that has been really to just lower my AGI as much as possible. So I've maxed out my HSA and my 401, bringing my AGI right around 100,000. And so I know the Roth is based off of the modified adjusted gross income. And so my first question really is, can I assume that my modified adjusted gross income is very similar to, if not equal to, my adjusted gross income, assuming that pharmacists don't get too many tax deductions and I'm single and have no dependents? And if so, then would I be able to contribute to the Roth IRA without having to do the backdoor option? Thanks, guys.
Kaitlin, thank you so much for submitting your question to be featured on this week's Ask a YFP CFP segment of the Your Financial Pharmacist Podcast. Robert, what are your thoughts here on the backdoor Roth IRA and Caitlin's question as it relates to AGI and MAGI?
Yeah, I basically want to start with saying Caitlin's doing a great job here of savings. It's really difficult to max out your HSA and your 401k all at the same time. So I want to congratulate her there. To get more to the point here, the major question here is, if I'm going to contribute to my Roth IRA, I need to know, is my AGI or my adjusted gross income same or similar to my MAGI or my modified adjusted gross income?
Mm-hmm.
So the reason that's important is when you're making contributions to a Roth IRA directly, so not through a backdoor, there's maxes on how much you can earn in that year. So for a single individual, the maximum contribution is $6,000, but that phases out depending on your income, right? So if you make less than $124,000 modified adjusted gross income, then you can contribute the maximum $6,000. And then if you earn above $139,000, you can't contribute anything to the Roth IRA directly. The way you calculate these figures are for adjusted gross income, that's all your gross income throughout the year. So that's wages, investment income, modified business income, retirement income, alimony, rental income, farm income if you have it. And then you take away any tax deductible expenses. So that's business expenses, educator expenses, self-employment taxes, health insurance premiums, health savings account contributions. So those come out there. Moving expenses, penalties, and retirement plan contributions. So by maxing out her HSA and her 401k, she's decreasing her AGI, which is helping out. And then to make that adjustment to the modified adjusted gross income, you have to add back some deductions. So some of those things you add back are any traditional IRA contributions, which it doesn't sound like she's making, any taxable Social Security payments, any student loan interest deductions, foreign income, any self-employment taxes she has to add back in, any publicly traded partnership losses, passive income losses, qualified tuition expenses, rental losses, or adoption expenses. Doesn't sound like she has many or any of those at all. So I would be comfortable saying that her adjusted gross income and her modified adjusted gross income are quite similar. So she should be able to contribute directly to the Roth IRA without having to go through any kind of backdoors methods.
You know, Robert, what I like about what Kaitlin is doing too is she's going in what we call the all-in PSLF strategy. So she has determined, PSLF, public service loan forgiveness, is the route she's going to take, and therefore she's doing everything she can to be able to lower her adjusted gross income, therefore reduce her student loan payments, therefore maximize forgiveness, but also then have the advantage of the savings that are accruing here. So it sounds like she's in somewhat of this sweet spot of being able to maximize that strategy, but also have these other savings opportunities that are available to her. And I think it's worth saying, I know you would, I think, agree with me that this is where a good tax professional is worth their weight in gold. I mean, I think they are anyways, but when we're talking about, student loans and really, to be frank, any part of the financial plan, I firmly believe that a good tax professional side by side with a financial planner is really going to help you optimize your financial plan. And so I would encourage Kaitlin, I would encourage anybody else who's listening, if you don't already have a good tax professional, or better yet, have your tax professional with your financial planner working side by side, really making sure that you're not only crossing your T's and dotting your I's with your taxes and, of course, the filing and all the things we have to do, but also thinking strategically when it comes to the tax part of the financial plan. And a shout out here to Paul Eichenberg, our enrolled agent on the YFP planning team. And for our clients, we do tax filings, we do tax strategy, but really would encourage, Kaitlin to make sure that she's getting that looked at as well. So Robert, thoughts on that and the importance of the tax piece?
Yeah, I think this is a great example to show how integrated all these decisions are, right? When you're focused on PSLF, you're going to get that public service loan forgiveness. You want to make sure you're paying the minimum possible to maximize that forgiveness plan. So you want to lower that AGI, and she's doing a great job doing that while also saving for retirement, right? Mm-hmm. The other thing I would make sure is how this integrates with the rest of her financial plan. So she's got this extra money. If she's saying she wants to contribute directly to her Roth, right? So she's already doing $19,500 directly into her 401k. She's already putting $3,550 into an HSA, which can then be saved for later life medical expenses. Mm-hmm. Are there other things that she could do with this $6,000 rather than put it into a Roth and dedicate it directly to retirement? Are there other goals? Are there other priorities in her life? And this is where this all integrates together, where it's not just focusing on one side of the financial plan, but trying to bring it all into one greater picture.
Yeah, we talk about this a lot, and making sure you don't fall victim to the silo effect of the financial plan, right? So any one part of the plan can be, and certainly is important, whether it's paying down debt, whether it be making sure you've got the right insurance coverage. Here we're talking about savings, but really taking a step back to say, how do all of these pieces flow and work together? And I think that really speaks to the value of a financial plan. And I would point our listeners as well to episode 96 of the podcast. We talked about how to do a backdoor Roth IRA, as well as we have a post on the Your Financial Pharmacist blog, why most pharmacists should do a backdoor Roth IRA. So for those that are listening, hearing this for maybe the first time, or I know for the second or third time, it's helpful to have that information reinforced. Make sure to check out episode 96 of the podcast, as well as the blog post that I mentioned, and we will link to both of those in our show notes. So great summary, Robert, and thank you to Kaitlin for submitting your question to be featured on the show. And as a small thank you for submitting a question, I'm going to be sending Kaitlin, perhaps maybe hand delivering it here in Columbus, go Bucks, a super comfy YFP t-shirt. And to those that are listening, if you'd like to have your question featured on a future episode, please go to yourfinancialpharmacist.com/ask-YFP or shoot us an email at info@yourfinancialpharmacist.com. Have a great rest of your week.